Congressman, welcome.
Well, it's great to be with you, Chris. Awesome.
Great to have you, sir. I want to play a soundbite for you. As you well know, the Republican Party and the Democrat Party have colluded for the better part of a half century to import illegal aliens into this country, not stopping them at the border, which has resulted in an estimated 20 to 30 million illegal aliens. I think it's sad that we don't know an exact number. But listen to the caliber of individuals that our federal government is allowed to break into our country. Listen.
We don't agree with the term illegal. We're undocumented. We've been here for thousands of years before you guys showed up, screw up everything. We think we should organize together with the U.S. working class and fight together and create a better system. We're anti-capitalist. We think socialism does work, real socialism, not Venezuela, not Cuba, not any of that crap that they try to sell us as socialism. And we believe it would be a more humane system that will take care of most of all people's necessities.
Is there a country we can look to kind of model the socialism idea?
The only model would be Soviet Union, the first 4 years.
Yeah, the first 4 years of the Soviet Union is the model. So these are the individuals who we have allowed, our government has allowed to come into this country, and they're very unabashed about what they want to do. They want to join the Democrats and turn us into something we're not here, Congressman. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, Chris, I think what this is showing the American people is, I have to say it this way. This is the difference between insanity and normalcy. It is the new difference between the white hats and the black hats. In the old days in movies, the good guys wore the white hats and the bad guys wore the black hats. And no more is that clear right now than when you see the Democrats are supporting people that they brought here illegally, encouraged them to come here, essentially took your tax dollars to pay for them to come here and welcome them here. You've got them on that side supporting this lawlessness, burning of cars in the streets and assaulting our police officers and law enforcement. And then you got the Republican side that's saying, look, our job is to protect our communities, our families, our children, and our establishments, our business establishments that are providing services to the community. And it's literally just good versus evil right now. And the American people, look, you're going to have to pick a side. And if you're on the side of craziness and lawlessness, then you can be with the Democrat Party because that's who they have become. I mean, and I'm not saying anything that they wouldn't say. They are supporting the people that they brought here illegally,
yes,
and trying to give them a voice and a platform, and more so a say in how this country is run, your country that you pay the taxes in, that you demand that the streets are safe for. That they're saying that these people that don't have any right to be here get a say in how we run our country, and essentially are opposed to everything that this country is about. We have a constitution that we use to run our country by. That limits our government. And these people that have been brought in here illegally are saying, we're just going to abandon that now. You need to listen to us, and we're going to tell you how to run your country. And that's who the Democrat Party is siding with. And so voters really now have a very stark and very clear choice about who the good guys are, who the bad guys are, who's wearing the white hats, who's wearing the black hats, who's on the side of sanity and normalcy, and who's on the side of insanity and craziness.
Right. Congressman, I have been saying this for years now on the Chris Salcedo show that the illegal immigration problem is both parties are responsible for it. They have been colluding against the American people, both political parties, for the last half century. And as you know, your Republican colleagues are on record voting to fund all of the Democrats' lawlessness that we're seeing unfolding, all of the programs for illegal aliens. Let me give you an example. The government is giving illegal aliens loans. And until Beth Van Dyne just passed a law this year in 2025 that's going to stop that, praise God, it gets through the Senate and gets signed by President Trump. But right now, the federal government is giving loans to illegal aliens. That's Republican and Democrat. Illegal aliens can get bank accounts in our country. They can rent homes in our country. They can buy homes and own land in our country. Taxpayers are forced to pay for their children's education because of a stupid Plyler versus Doe Supreme Court ruling. Congress, both parties, they have made illegal aliens easy in their illegality. Why won't Congress stop doing that?
Well, Chris, you're not wrong. This is the swamp. This is the establishment, the uniparty, if you want to call it that. There'll be many Republicans that say, look, I was opposed to that, but a portion of that was in some bill and the other part of the bill was good, so I had to vote for the bad to get the good. This is the place and this is the time for members of any party, either party, no party, to stand up and say, enough is enough. And I'm not voting for things if there's anything, we always say that don't let the perfect be the enemy of the good. Well, the good oftentimes includes the horrific, which is how by little, steps, one step at a time, we march towards socialism, totalitarianism, communism, and of course the things that you're talking about, which is supporting people here illegally at the taxpayer's expense. And of course, if you're against that and you say, I'm not voting for the bigger bill, whatever that bill is over time, then you're part of the problem here, as opposed to being what you really are, I think, is a patriot saying enough is enough. We can't allow this stuff to happen. So it just takes people of courage and conviction to say, I'm not going to stand for any of this. You don't get my vote ever for this kind of stuff, and let the chips fall where they may. Unfortunately, there have been too many members of both parties that have been willing to bargain away America's future and our hard-earned tax dollars for the sake of expedience. And I think under President Trump, that is all ending. And I thank the good Lord that someone here in this town has the courage to stop the uniparty, the swamp, and the establishment. Congressman
Scott Perry, our guest right now, folks. He represents the 10th Congressional District in the great state of Pennsylvania. And it's becoming greater, folks, because it's leaning more and more right as Democrats continue to destroy left-wing municipalities and states all over this country. We've already established we can't trust the federal government on illegal immigration. We can only trust the America First coalition and President Trump. And it turns out these riots that we're seeing right now, Congressman, unfold across the country, they were sponsored in part by taxpayer dollars. As you know, the Democrat Party, when they were in charge, they took all the money that Republicans voted to give them, and they funded these left-wing, anti-American, subversive kook NGOs, which are now financing and organizing and showing up in these cities in riots. And then, so in my mind, when you see that our money is being misappropriated this way because our government is so large, Congress doesn't have a snowball's chance in hell of properly administering it. The question I have is, we're $37 trillion in debt. This reconciliation bill offered by the House doesn't reverse Democrat overspending and actually spends more than the Democrats. Isn't the best way to stop all of this abuse of our people by our own government to defund it?
Well, of course, the power is with money. And the Democrats and the left have figured out they could use the largesse of the federal government to funnel funds to their specialized programs or NGOs or different organizations that support their political goals. And of course, again, to get a bill passed, there have been plenty of Republicans that have gone along with it over time for the sake of, comedy, or the sake of we got to get governed or we got to get something done. Mm-hmm. Remember, reconciliation is about mandatory spending. Now, the big, beautiful bill, in my opinion, is not beautiful. It is big. We in the House fought to get some real reforms and some real savings to the very bitter end. It's the Senate now. For the first time in my life, the Senate might actually produce something more conservative than the House was able to, and we were willing to give them the chance. It still has to come back to the House if they change it at all, and I hope they do, and get another vote in the House. And so we still have an opportunity to say no if it's just not good enough. But in conversations we're having right now, it looks like the bill is improving, and we are going to have more savings, maybe up to $1 trillion more, which will get it in line with where we want it to be. And so Republicans and the president can't be on the hook for actually increasing deficits. I've told the president that. He agrees with that. And, his claim to me is, look, I just can't get these people to vote for it. That would be the swamp, the establishment, and the left-leaning Republicans that actually run on cutting spending, run on reducing the size of the federal government, but when it comes to voting for it, refuse to do it. And they're out there. You can see their Twitter posts and their social media conversations where they say they have doubts about this rescissions bill that we're going to vote on tomorrow.
Good grief.
They should have no doubts about that. Just vote yes. Cut the money. We don't need these things. We can't afford these things.
Amen.
And these things are bad for society.
Amen. And you know what? Just tell the New York Republican delegation, the majority of the New York Republican delegation, that red state conservatives like me resent the hell out of them putting in this salt deduction increase so that red states are forced to pay for the socialism in blue states. That is not a Republican/conservative thing to do, and they ought to start being Republicans rather than blue state devotees. Last thing I have for you, Congressman.
Exactly right. Exactly right.
Last thing I have for you is the Federal Bureau of Investigation has arrested another communist terrorist from China coming in and smuggling in, this is the third one, a pathogen, a biological agent designed to do harm to our country. The first two, by the way, they're all centered around the University of Michigan, which I find to be very interesting. But they wanted to taint America's food supply because China is undergoing something that's called unrestricted warfare against the United States for the better part of the last 3 decades. My question to you is, despite the breaking news today that President Trump has reached a trade agreement, a breakthrough trade agreement with China, when do we start regarding communist China as more than an adversary and regard them as the enemy they clearly are?
Well, China has the Communist Party of China has essentially been at war with the United States of America and has declared America as their enemy, and America needs to start acting like it. I think that, I don't know the details of the trade agreement, but remember, it's trade. It's not everything else. And so I think that hopefully it will get us in a better position, but it should not preclude us from law enforcement activities or restrictive activities regarding Chinese nationals related to the CCP or the PLA from being allowed to come to this country. They should not be allowed. And also, we need reciprocal agreements on just how we conduct business with China. They don't allow us to buy their land. They don't allow us to send students to their country. They don't allow us to engage in research, except for our money, of course, in their country.
Yes.
All those things have yet to be worked out and can be done at the executive level. And of course, we're going to urge President Trump to do that and start treating China like the enemy that they regard us to be.
Yep. Peter Schweitzer's book, Blood Money, should be required reading for everybody in the United States Congress. Congressman Scott Perry, folks, 10th District in the great state of Pennsylvania. Sir, appreciate the frank talk and discussion.